David Votta, you are quite a well-known letting agent in letting agency circles. You're an ARLA Rep. We always see you at the ARLA conferences. You're very prevalent on social media. You set up your own business just over a year ago. What I'd like to do is talk about your story, about your fears and frustrations, about being an agent, why you set up your own business, and basically the lessons learned, so the people out there in estate and letting agency land can listen to your story and learn from your lessons as well, if that's okay. So, when did you want to become a letting agent?
Crikey, years ago. I was a postman at the time.
All right.
And I was doing a bit of acting on the side. I studied method acting. I went and studied in London, and I loved all that side of things. And I watched a film and studied a play called Glengarry Glen Ross, and it's
ABC, Always Be Closing.
Yeah, Always Be Closing. And I found it quite inspirational and scary at the same time, and I found it fantastic. I thought I would love to do something like that, and when I have an idea in my head, I have to do it. So I saw a job advertised through someone I know in a local agents, and I applied for it.
What year was this?
2009.
So how old were you at this point?
25, 26.
25. Were you married at this time?
I wasn't, no.
Okay.
So, yeah, I applied for the job there. And
so you're young, free and single, ready to mingle, and thought to yourself, I'm going to be an agent.
I'm going to be an agent, yeah.
And where was this?
This was in Ramsgate, where I live, in the southeast.
Good stuff.
So
the Isle of Thanet.
The Isle of Thanet, yeah, even though it's not
island.
Detached, yeah. Okay. But it's like an island, yeah, because everybody knows every job. So, yeah, and I took on the role there, and it was basically a case of...
What role did you take on?
It was a training lettings negotiator.
With who?
Oh, with Warden Partners, Aaron Estates.
Yep.
So it was an independent company down there. And it was a case of, here you go, here's a phone, here's a property list, off you go. And then you have your training and bits and pieces like that.
Did you enjoy it?
I did, yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a change from getting up at 4 a.m, delivering people's post, and then finishing at about 1 o'clock, and then having the day to yourself, or as I would do, fall asleep in the afternoon. So it was working longer hours, so starting at 8 o'clock, finishing at 6:30. And sometimes having to work later for viewings and all sorts. It was a change in lifestyle, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. So, was everything plain sailing?
No, it never is it? Especially in the world of lettings, never plain sailing. So
09 was just when everyone had basically dropped their houses that they couldn't sell onto the market. So you had too much stock and probably not enough tenants.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that, because I remember seeing the property list, and there was, for a little office, there was about 30 properties on there, and I saw it as an opportunity. I thought, well, if I'm in a commission-based job, then let's get letting those properties. Okay. So I saw it as an opportunity.
And how did you get those lets?
Just through following a process of registering the correct tenants, giving accurate feedback, and being a likeable person, people by people. So when I got into the role, you're talking to landlords, you're talking to tenants, and you want them to believe in you, and you have to be honest. There's this belief that agents are dishonest, isn't there? And some of them very much are so, but I thought I don't need to do that. If you give them the truth all the time, it's easy to remember.
Okay. So how did your parents feel about you going from quite a steady job, being a postman, to basically being a letting agent?
They just took it on the chin, as they do. Oh, Davey's going to do this now. Just let him get on with it.
Were you still living at home at this point?
I was still living at home, yeah.
Okay. So 2009, what then? When we moved into 2010, were you still carrying on?
Yes, yeah, I was. I mean, as I started the job, I met my now wife, and we were becoming quite close and friendly.
Was she an employee there as well?
No, she was working for the NHS at the time. She had a good steady job there, but she was planning to go travelling early February, and we got close very quickly. We hit it off, and
what's your wife's name?
Rachel.
And
she said, I don't know if I should go travelling because I don't want to lose what you've got. I said, no, you've got to do that. I'll still be here because, I really care about you, but you've got to do what you set out to do. So she went travelling in February, and I remember the day very well. This is 2010, yeah. So I remember the day really well because I was at her house, And it was the morning that I was going off to work and she was going to the airport. I mean, I wanted to take her to the airport as well, but because of work and all that. So I remember she was on the stairs crying, saying, I'm going to miss you and all that. I said, yeah. And I was very matter of fact, I'll be fine, yeah, I'll come out and see you in a couple of months.
Where did she go?
Australia. Well, she started off in Thailand. Thailand did all, that route, ended up in Australia. And she was very upset and I was very calm and thinking, yeah, it's cool. And then it finally hit home when I got home that evening and I couldn't call her because she was travelling and it kind of sunk in a little bit then.
Okay. So how long did she go away for?
She was meant to go for a year, but certain circumstances happened. She had to come back early. So she went in the February, came back in the August.
Okay. Did you go out and see her?
I did. I went out to see her in April in Australia and I actually proposed to her in Sydney. So we'd only been together a few months.
Wow.
Everyone was a little bit, was a bit too soon, and maybe it was, but clearly it's not now.
What did your mum and dad think to that?
Again, David's doing his thing. He's going off. Let's get on with it. Isn't it a bit too soon and all that? No.
But so you must have been on top of the world in 2010, didn't you? Weren't you?
Well, I kind of was and I wasn't. I mean, my father passed away when the month after she left, and it was quite a serious thing. He was only 57, and it was very sudden.
That's not an age, is it?
No, it's no age. 57's nothing.
So you were 25 at this point?
Yeah, 26.
Okay. And how did that affect you?
Badly, and that's what led to a big dip in my life. So I found him, I was very close to him, he was like a best friend to me, and it was just tough because it was very sudden, unexpected.
Because it must have been quite bittersweet proposing to your wife.
Well, I was very emotional, and some people said maybe you were too emotional and you did it too soon. But like we said before, it made me think life is too short. And I've been in long-term relationships for about 7-8 years, and it's not worked. And you've tried to work at it to make it work, and it's like pushing treacle uphill. With this, it was a lot easier, and I'm so glad I did it. So I went out, I found the ring, showed it to her mum and dad, and I said, I'm going to propose to her. And they're like, what? I said, well, it is what it is.
Okay, so you're on a high with proposing to your wife.
Yeah.
She obviously said yes. How did losing your father at such a young age affect you?
Well, I was the rock for everybody else around me, but I didn't cope with it myself. So obviously, when you find someone that's dead, it's not a nice thing that you can get out of your head very easily.
You found your father, didn't you?
I found him, yeah, I found him. And, thank God he wasn't there very long. So it looked like he was asleep, which is the only thing that I can say, about what happened there.
So did you throw yourself into your work then?
Yeah. Well, I booked to go and see Rachel anyway, and I went ahead with that, and I proposed and then came back. And the journey home and the journey there, it's a long flight to Australia, was tough because you're thinking there's only so many times you can watch a film, and cuddle up to the stranger next to you. And it was tough. So when I left her, I remember leaving her at the airport in Sydney, and she was in a bad way. I was in a bad way. And the flight back was really tough. And I just got back, and I got back on the Monday, and I was called into an interview. Well, I say an interview, a meeting, to find out whether or not I was still going to be employed by the company.
Why was that?
Someone had to go. So there was two of us. There was an admin member, and there was me.
This was 2010, so things were pretty tough at this point.
Yeah, and it was... So there was a rumour that I wasn't going to come back from Australia. Now, the trouble is with the lettings business and many sales businesses, there's a lot of rumours that spiral out of control. Anyway, the rumour was I wasn't going to return. So they were lining up my departure, or if I wasn't, it would be the other person. So I got back, and they called me and they said, so are you staying here? I was like, what are you talking about? I've got to make money, I have to live. Of course, yeah, but everything that's gone on. So what am I going to do? Just live on the streets? How am I going to make money? Of course I need to work here. And I found it a bit bizarre and a bit annoying. Anyway, I went out and grabbed some lunch, and as I was walking back from lunch, the girl that was working in the office was walking down with a plant and her bits and pieces. I said, what's going on? She went, well, one of us had to go, and it was me. And it was just a really not a nice welcome back, really.
How did you feel about seeing your other person leave?
I felt guilty. I felt bad because obviously she was a nice girl. She was good at what she did. And, when one of you gets cut, it's never nice.
So You threw yourself into your work, did
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Okay.
So for me, it was a case of not I had a point to prove, but that was my focus and my drive. You know, I wanted to succeed, I wanted to do well, and what's happened I can't change. And there was a whole other circumstance surrounding my father's death, which I won't go into, but I needed to move on for my own self, really. And I threw myself into work and compartmentalised it, so I put it into the back of my mind.
In a previous video, but I'd like to just touch on it, you said you had some mental health issues.
Yeah.
Do you think, when did that rear its head?
It reared its head in 2016, so almost 6 years after the event of my father passing.
Do you think, I know you said you're not going to talk about it, but I'm Chris Watkins, so no one ever, you know.
Not going to get away with it.
No, you're not going to get away with it. Do you think losing your father, you didn't deal with it, and
Yeah.
that reared its head in 16?
Yeah.
What, before we get there, do you think you threw yourself into, what did you learn between 2011 and 16? If you look at your CV on LinkedIn, you rose up through the ranks really quickly. Do you think you were reacting against your father, and therefore you said, well, I'll just throw myself into the work and just see how we get on?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because that was my focus, because I couldn't dwell and woe is me and all that. I thought I've just, life's too short. I've got to make something of my life because...
And did you?
Yeah. Yeah, I did, because my father, before he met my mother, he was in Italy and he was in the police force and he was in the undercover police. He had a very good job before he left that and come to the UK and just worked a modest job. You know, he did a couple of different jobs and that. And I just think life is too short.
So what did you learn between 11 and 16 to grow your stock price, to be a better agent?
I learned that being genuine is a way forward. I mean, I've always been genuine, but even more so now.
Who did you learn that off?
My father. Because he was very genuine with, what you saw is what you get. He was a happy-go-lucky guy. He would be at the pub, he'd buy everyone a drink, just meet people. Very funny. Didn't take life too seriously. And, I'm guilty of that in many circumstances.
What, taking life too seriously?
Not taking life too seriously. I'm known as a bit of a joker in a lot of things, but when it comes to work, I have a very strict mindset.
Were you enjoying being employed between 11 and 16? Or in the early days, yes?
Yeah, in the early days, yeah, because it's new. It's a new role and it's exciting and you're challenged.
What role did you get up to
in
15 and 16?
Senior lettings manager.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you particularly enjoy about it?
Helping people. I mean, I know it sounds a bit of a cliche, but the enjoyment out of getting the job. I mean, I've done some hilarious viewings. I've seen some sites, and I've helped some people that have really been in need.
What did you learn about being part of a network? Looking at your other colleagues, were you able to help them? Did they help you?
I'd say some helped me more than others. Some helped me learn how not to do certain things. And so, same with the companies, how not to treat people, how not to do this and how not to do that. And I found my way myself with obviously joining ARLA as well. There's that backing and there's that guidance.
Did that always give you a different aspect?
Yeah.
A different set of, not friends, but a different way of looking at things?
Yeah, it did.
When did you join ARLA?
I joined ARLA 2011, I believe.
Okay, and when did you become the rep?
I became a rep in 2016 when I had a bit of a downward turn, and then I became a rep in the August.
Okay, so in a previous video, guys, we if you look on my YouTube channel, there is a separate video in this playlist where we go into a lot more depth. But you had some your issues with finding your father passing away. You hadn't dealt with.
No.
There were some good things that threw yourself into the business, but at the same time there was issues that got sorted out that you were beating yourself up on. You were basically throwing up every morning and being into the shower for half an hour. Just give us some, a couple of sentences, what you went through and how you came out the other side.
I left home for a bit and I moved into a flat on my own because I was just a horrible person and just not there.
You weren't married yet? You weren't married yet?
No, I was married. This is 2016. So
you moved out of the marital home?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I moved out. I had a daughter and everything, which I saw on a weekly basis. But I felt I needed to detach myself from where I was, not including work. I should have left work for a period of time, but I couldn't because I needed to provide.
Yes.
So I detached myself from any emotion whatsoever and the family and everything. And I thought I needed to find my way on my own, but that wasn't the way.
So what help did you get?
the cognitive behavioural therapy. I had support, friends and family, always checking in on me, are you okay? I didn't really talk to them much, I just kind of kept myself to myself. But then I've also started exercising as well. And I know it sounds silly, but I was in Broadstairs.
Well, Tom Panos bangs on about it, that the health is just as important as the listing, you know, doing the job as an agent.
Of course it is. And I was living in a flat in Broadstairs, and I found myself just going out running, and I was like Forrest Gump, because what I find with running is I get bored with running, and I'll do, say, 4 kilometres, and that's it. I'm bored, I'll go and do some weights or whatever, or go and have a hamburger or whatever. But with this, my mind was in such a strange place. I would check my run thing, and I look back at it even now, and I've run like 10 miles across the beach and everything, and just kept going until I thought I better stop now. It's getting dark.
Well, in that video, which please check it out, we go into a lot more detail. You came out the other side with the support of professional help and your family's help. Mm-hmm. Where were you there with your work?
I was in a position where I was in a senior position, and I was expected to behave a certain way and do certain things, and that, which I take that. However, my performance had dips, as it would do, because you're trying to throw yourself into work, but you miss stuff, you forget stuff, and I was subject to a performance review, not a welcome back, because I took some time. I did take 5 weeks out of work, subject to a performance review. Not we want to support you through this and all that. There was about 2 seconds of that. The rest was, here you go, David, here's a paper, here's an email you sent to that person, and that's what you said to them, and then we don't find that acceptable behaviour, blah, blah, blah. And it felt like a witch hunt. And now people would say it's not a witch hunt, there's process, there's procedures. There is, yeah, but let's not forget, we're people.
It felt like a...
Yeah, it did.
Do you think they could have done it better?
100 times better.
Okay.
And I use that now. So me as an employer, if I have any staff that have similar issues, mental health, I know how to address that, and effectively,
Is this the time when you thought to yourself, sod this, I'm going to do it all myself?
I thought, you know what, life's too short. I've given my life to business, and I've forgotten everything else. And I'm so focused on targets and achieving and all that, it becomes your life. And you think, do you know what? You only get one shot at life, so where's my enjoyment? Because I would go on holiday, right? And then the last 2 days of my holiday, I'll be miserable. And people are like, what's up with you? I've got to go back to work Monday. Dreading going back to work. That's not life. Whereas now, I went away to the New Forest with the wife and little, and I was due back to work, and I was so relaxed. Didn't check my emails or anything, because I know they've got it in the office, they've got it covered. And I go back to work and I'm happy, pick up where I leave off, and that's why I'm the happiest I've ever been.
So when did you decide that you want to set up your own business then?
I decided in 2016, really. I kind of...
After you'd been through the...
Yeah. I tinkered with a few ideas and bits and pieces that I wanted to do, and I thought, I'm going to go for it. And I just thought, no, I can't do this. I've got to go properly. And I had people that said, come into business with me and join me and do this. And I considered it, and I thought... I didn't have the balls to do it, basically. I thought everything that happened, I just thought it's not the right time. I'm not mentally in the right place. And I like to give everything 110%, and I don't want to give it 40% and fail.
So when did you set up your own business?
October 2018.
So that was a couple of years or 18 months. What did you do during those 18 months?
Well, I left the company I was working for, and went to join another agent who promised the same things. We're a family, we look after you, we do this, we do that.
When did you swap from Ward & Co to Partners?
It was April. I left Ward in April 2016, and then moved to the other company,
thinking that the new firm would basically
be different. Look after you, because I like their ethos and the ethics that they had and the way they interviewed.
Did they follow through with that though?
No.
All the same?
Yeah. And then I started working for the other company in end of May, June.
And was that when did you decide, I'll sod this, they're all the bloody same, I'll set my own game up?
I decided that about a year later, and I didn't do anything about it.
So that was spring 17?
Yeah.
Okay. What were your hopes and dreams and fears?
My hopes were I could create a successful business that people would like dealing with, and I always said from the start I want to put the fun back into moving, because you imagine, Chris, you're moving house, so You know, people say, "Oh, well, you want it to be your dream move." You can never be a dream. My dream would be a luxury apartment on the seafront, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Anyway, you have to make it as enjoyable as possible within the constraints of the situation. So you might have a wife that's split from a partner from a 4-bed detached house with 2 kids, and they don't work because the husband looks after them. They're moving out. They're moving into a 2-bedroom flat. They have to claim housing benefit. Doesn't make her a bad tenant. So when these agents say we don't take housing benefit, we tar everyone with the same brush. No, let's look at people and their circumstance. So this woman, you know, we can help her. So that's unfortunate what's happened before, but I'm going to help that woman because I want to help her.
Is that what drove you to set your own business?
Yeah, it was, because I wanted to make the enjoyment, and I wanted to have nothing above me to say no. See, I've got all these brilliant ideas, right? And I don't want someone to say no to them. I mean, now my wife's my sounding board, or ARLA Property Mart. I've got certain people within ARLA I go to and say, thinking of doing this, and they're my sounding boards. But there's never that, no, we can't do that without a reason. Like, there's certain things.
What fears did you have?
Well, failure. You don't want to fail, and you also get the fear of, you know, not providing the service you can. So for me, it's all about the customer, you know. And the thing is, I'll give you an example. I had an email come through from a tenant saying, "Oh, I'm still waiting to hear back on this property with one of you." Okay, we'll jump on that straight away. Just to let you know, further to our call like 2 days ago, we still haven't got access, but we will. So it's about servicing those people that are important, because without the customer, we're nobody, are we?
Do you wish you'd done it before?
Yes and no. I wish I'd have done it before, because it would bring me so much more enjoyment to my life that I have now. However, I probably wasn't in the right place to do it. Now I'm at a position where I know a fair bit about the industry, and I'm happy.
You're static.
Yeah, exactly. Mentally, I'm in the right place. Maybe not so much physically, because I need to do a bit more running, but with my lifestyle at home, you know, and where I am with my knowledge of the business and the legalities and all that kind of stuff, I'm in a position where I can competently help my clients. You know, if a landlord rings up and says, "I'm really stuck with this situation, what do I do?" I can confidently and competently give them accurate advice. Whilst we can't advertise we're legal advisors, you've got that knowledge there to help them that no one else can.
If there's any letting agents out there in letting agency land that are going through the same issues that you have, mental health, or wondering to set up their own business, would you be happy for people to pick up the phone to you?
Oh yeah, all day long. I mean, for me, I'm not saying everybody should go and set up their own business and leave the employment world. It's not for everyone. Just like the corporate structure wasn't for me. It gives you a basis, it gives you a bit of a grounding, but you've got to do what's right for you. And I was known as a maverick. You want to do it all your own way and all that. But, you know, mavericks are kind of known for doing it wrong and cutting corners. I don't do that.
Okay. How do they contact you? What's your mobile number?
07970 395 430.
Thank you.
You're welcome.